This may be a surprise to some, but for many people that have been following my content for a long time, this isn't a surprise. I'm making this video solely for personal reasons. This isn't to change your perspective of a specific arc. It's not to change your perspective of the series as a whole, because at the end of the day, I still love the series. But I can no longer say One Piece is my favorite anime, my favorite manga anymore. I can't. And there's many reasons why, but I'm going to go over all of them right after this introduction, because I've had a lot of time to think about this. I've had a lot of time to mull over it. I've tried many different methods to continue to create content on One Piece, because at the end of the day, that is the basis of this channel. It is the anime that I've spent the longest time with, so it's really hard for me to face the facts. But I think for the integrity of my content and the integrity of me as a content creator, the integrity is me as a person. So for anyone that's coming here and saying, oh my God, here we go again, because Jay's about to crash out about Wano all over again. Yes, I'm gonna crash out, but it's not really a crash out the way you think it's gonna be. It's for you guys to understand me. This is what this video is for. This video is for you guys to understand me. It's not to change your perspective of Wano. It's not to change how you feel about the story as a whole. It honestly doesn't have anything to do with how you feel about Oda or anything like that. You know, I'm still gonna make One Piece content, but you guys need to understand, moving forward, I can no longer say One Piece is my favorite anime. I can no longer say it's my favorite manga. I can't. It's still up there, but it's not. And I need to share with you the reasons why. The main reason is Wano. It is Wano, and I know that's gonna be annoying for a lot of you guys to hear, but I need to emphasize it. I want to put everything into one video, and I want you guys to truly understand me. And if you can't, that's fine. It is what it is. But everyone that is wondering why Jay always crashes out about Wano, why doesn't he just stop making One Piece content? Why doesn't he just drop the series? Here's going to be why. So before we get into the negatives, right, I want to start off with the positives, because I want people to understand that I still love the story. And I also want people to understand, right? So with One Piece is arguably the most, how would I describe this? I would say One Piece is the most cohesive story that we have in the media. One Piece is, world building is second to none. The characters that we've experienced, the emotions that is pulled out of me, the moments, the way Oda can write a character moment, the way Oda can write an emotional story has been one of the things that have kept me going for 15 plus years, because I've been reading this story for half of my life, if not more. And just to really hone in on it, let me explain to you guys how I absorb manga and anime and just story in general. For me, I'm a very character driven man. If you give me a good character, you give me good introspection, you give me a good character arc, you give me the ups and downs, the highs and the lows, and you see them, if you show me everything that they're feeling and you show me their growth or their degeneration, I'm all in. This is why when you see characters like Vivi, from someone that has infiltrated Baroque Works, going into a criminal organization, grew up as a princess, an innocent, an innocent, starry-eyed princess, going into a criminal organization like Baroque Works to try and do espionage, to try and figure out what's going on, to find who is the leader of everything that's going on in Baroque Works and in her country, to see her then be recruited by pirates, become a pirate in order to go to Alabasta to free her country, to her dealing with Crocodile, to her emotional crash outs over and over again, because Crocodile at every corner just seems to not only insult her, destroy her country, destroy her father. Like, to see someone go through all of that visibly and still fight back, still stand tall, even though she doesn't have the physical strength to do anything, she has the brains, she has the grit, she has the grind, she has the passion, she has the voice, she has the eloquence to make change and to do something about it. That to me is an extremely compelling character, and that's why Alabasta was so good for me. You look at Nami in Arlong Park, like, you see everything that she went through, very similar to Vivi, in fact. Sanji in Baratie. You have in Marineford, again, Luffy, Ace. You're attached to so many different characters within these arcs. We go to Sabaody. I mean, Luffy's arc alone in Sabaody is incredible to me, because we're so used to Luffy coming out on top or just fighting through adversity. But this is where Luffy loses, and he loses categorically. And you see the grief, you see the pain, you see the sorrow, you see the crash out. And you're like, this is what it's all about. It's about the character, and it's about the main focus of the character in the story that's really pulling me, specifically me, in. That's where I get attached to. You give me a character I like, you give me a character I can follow, and I'm all in, right? That's why with Thriller Bark was cool, but it's not really highly ranked in my arcs, because Brook is kind of the main focus for the most part, and then you got a little bit of Moria and some Luffy in there as well, and you're kind of like, Brook's cool, but you know, he's not moving mountains, but you have a lot of good moments with Brook, so Thriller Bark isn't a bad arc. Now, as we go into the post-time skip, things change a little bit, and I'll emphasize that in the next portion of this video, but but I really just want to emphasize again, the emotional moments in One Piece, they always hit, right? You have Robin, I Wanna Live, and Enies Lobby. I mean, Robin, the center focus of Water 7 and Enies Lobby and I Wanna Live and the Ohara flashback. Like, you're really invested in Robin. And then you have Usopp versus Luffy in Water 7 as well. I mean, like, Usopp's arc in Water 7 is immaculate. You're frustrated with him, you hate him, but then you understand him, you grieve for him, you're locked in, right? The Frankie family, what they do to him, you get locked in. So these are the things that are pulling me in, these character-driven moments, these character-driven plots where I'm like, yo, I'm all in, even with Dressrosa. Rebecca's kind of mid, Kyros is cool. I like Kyros' story, I like his suffering. I really appreciated it, but what really got us all, let's be honest, Law and Corazon. I mean, my God, hard carried Dressrosa. Not to say Dressrosa's bad, but their story was so good that it begins to carry. You throw in a little Senior Pink in there and you got a good meal. I'm a Sanji guy, so Whole Cake Island, you know, I'm with it. The Sanji backstory, I'm all good, right? Fishman Island had Hody Jones, so not, you know, not really good, but the themes, racism, Fisher Tiger, Arlong Jinbei, that's enough to kind of keep you in and you're like, yeah, all right. Punk Hazard, we can talk about that later. But you get the gist. I've talked about it enough. You guys get the gist of what I'm really going for here. Character-driven, emotional moments. Those emotional moments are always compounded on each other based on the focus of the character as well. I Want to Live, Mary dying in Enies Lobby, Usopp versus Luffy. If you would go to Jaya and Skypiea, you have Mont Blanc Cricket and the story of Norland, the ringing of the bell. Like, you have all these characters that are tied to emotional moments that you really, really are feeling it, right? So this is my basis of what made me love One Piece. This is the basis of everything that I adored about the story. And then the lore is obviously great. So, you know, the lore is also great, but like, again, that's not what pulls me in. What pulls me in is the character. What pulls me in is the investment in the character. What pulls me in is the drawing and the drawing of the character emotions, how Oda intricately guides you through the character arcs, how he always capitalizes and doesn't waste your time. He capitalizes on the small character moments that you didn't pay attention to at first, and then he gives you a callback. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, how did I miss that? That's excellent. So like, you see the picture I'm painting here. You know, my time was respected. When I noticed things about certain characters and Oda would always deliver, it would come back full circle. The characters themselves, are they deep in the story? Are they an integral part of the arc? Do they show enough character and personality for you to be invested? Can I resonate with them? Can I relate to them? Like, am I understanding the themes and the things that are coming across? Like, these are the things that really, really struck me about One Piece. And the sad thing about it is, all of those things that Oda had built 15 years of trust on and delivered over and over and over again, the quality varied, right? Not everything was as peak as Robin, right? And not everything was as low as, like, say, Brook or Punk Hazard or whatever. But I always felt like Oda would deliver. He always did deliver. But things changed for me with Wano. And it's time to get into it. And I'm gonna go over, like, the pros and cons of Wano, and I'm gonna give you like a nice little chronological, well, not really chronological, but you know, I'll go by act to let you guys know where things kind of went wrong for me and where things kind of changed for me about the story, because I needed to give you this context before we really dive in, because you guys are gonna start to understand me as I keep going on. So the reason I feel this way now is mainly because of a few things, and I'm just gonna keep this quick. Wano, the arc. Again, there was so much hype, there was so much expectation about it. You had the editors yapping about it, you had Oda yapping about it. It's like, man, this is the arc that Oda's been waiting for. This is gonna be the arc that's building everything up that we've been building post time skip, from Fishman Island to Dressrosa, with Momonosuke and Kinemon. Everything was supposed to connect in Wano. Wano was supposed to be the big reveal. It was supposed to be the big arc, the arc that Oda is going to cook on. This is when we're gonna get Kaido, Big Mom. It was the most hyped up arc I think we've ever had in the entire series, and it set expectations that they just could not deliver on, and that was the biggest issue. And then you have Wano the Nation. I'm gonna get into that later, but the Nation of Wano itself is something I have an issue with. There's also just the irreparable damage that has been done to my trust when it comes to some things that I expected Oda to cash in on, that I knew he does and he always does. It's not like petty gripes or like small things that I wish happened in the story. It's things that Oda set up himself and then did not finish or did not deliver on, that he has done time and time and time and time again. It's like me, you know what it's like? It's like watching LeBron James drive into the paint and go for a lefty layup like he's done 1,000 times, and him missing it in the NBA Finals when we need a go-ahead bucket. I'm just like, LeBron, what is going on here? That's gonna hurt me. It's gonna leave some pain. So like, you move on to that, and then there's the community. Again, I'm gonna get into the community as well. I love this community, but there are some things I have issues with, so we will talk about that as well. And then also just the content that I make now, since I make more agenda piece content because it's really something I really enjoy. It's a way I can enjoy the story as a casual, but also in a comedic way. It keeps me ingrained. It keeps me interested in One Piece because because I'm like, man, what funny thing am I going to see in One Piece today? And with that going forward, the nature of my content is going to change, where I'm not going to abandon One Piece. I'm going to keep reading it. I still love the story. It's just that I'm going to try and do more other things as well. So let's get into the arc itself. All right, so let's start off with the things I like. I always like to start off positive and then give the crash out later. And also, I think it's important for you guys to see what I can appreciate in the story. So obviously, one of the things I really liked was Nami's speech in Act 3. Nami's moment really rang true to me because of the danger that she was in. Nami is not a combatant like that. Nami is not a freak like Zoro or Jinbei and Sanji that can, you know, take damage and, you know, get hit by ships and cut by blades and take honestly ungodly levels of punishment and just be like, all right, well, you know, I'm still gonna be good. I'm gonna fight. Nami is getting headbutted by ulti, like a Tobi Roppo, someone who is a Zoan, someone who is using haki, someone who is, and she's headbutting Nami multiple times. Nami not built like that, but she's still in that moment where ulti said, hey, denounce the Pirate King, denounce him, tell him. Nami is like, he gonna be the Pirate King, so I guess I'm gonna die. It is what it is. I'm like, go ahead, Queen. Yes, I'm all in on that. And it's a great character moment for Nami, and Nami's one of the characters in the story that really hasn't lost that much development and speed. She's really just kept going and stayed consistent. So, you know, I love Nami. Now, I know some people will crash out over that statement, but we're not here for that. But one of the other things I loved as well, Kaido himself, like not the character. We're gonna talk about that later, but the hands, the boxing, the technique, the fighting, the prowess, his bag is unlimited. Kaido, the combatant, was a pleasure to behold. I mean, Three Realms Ragnarok, Thunder Bagua, hybrid form, drunk Kaido, future sight, one-shotting Gear 4 Luffy, one-shotting, like beating Luffy like 2-3 times. Like, this guy couldn't be stopped. He couldn't be beat. He was just a force of nature. And then there was the Odin Mickey. Let's not get started on that one. We'll talk about that one later. But overall, Kaido as a combatant was a pleasure to behold. From a villainous standpoint, in terms of being a force, as a villain, from a combat standpoint, there is no better than Kaido in the story. So like, I can 100% appreciate that, and it's really one of the things that made the rooftop so nice. Another moment I really liked was Robin. Robin's moment of, you know, Robin being able to step up to the fray and defeat Black Maria, the flashback with Hack, and the Fishman karate. Like, seeing Robin do anything, honestly, was just a joy. So that just has to be in the positives. Like, yo, okay, we get a nice Robin moment. Thanks for relying on me, Sanji. Robin's part of the crew. It's real nice. Yay. I love it, right? That was cool. You know, just the Sanji part. Trafalgar Law in general. Like, Law just go. Honestly, Law really just go. Like, watching Law in Wano was like watching Chris Paul in the Hornets. It was like watching Drew Brees, prime Drew Brees in the Saints. It's like watching, what's another good analogy? It's like watching David Silva in Man City, or watching Iniesta in Barca. Like, I'm trying to give y'all as many sports analogies in case y'all don't watch sports, but it was like watching a master at work. My man had assist after assist after assist. The Devil Fruit usage was fantastic. His role in the story, him setting up plans, the conversation with Nico Robin about the poneglyphs. You still kind of wondered what role Law was going to play in this arc, because his character arc seemed to have ended after the whole Corazon Doflamingo thing, but there's still more. There was rumors of Law being in Sword. That never really came into fruition, but he still delivered. He folded Hawkins off screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, he helped with the Big Mom. He did 70% of the work for the Big Mom fight. So Law was just good. Law was just good all around. So no complaints about Law. The rooftop. I mean, the rooftop was peak fiction. All right. When it comes to just sitting down there, casual, I'm here to just watch some Unga Bunga. That's it. Give me some Unga Bunga fighting and colors and Dragon Ball Z. Give me that. Amazing. Ocean Sovereignty with Zoro. I know we like to downplay it because Zoro stands like to act like he's, you know, he held it with one hand and then laughed at Kaido and Big Mom before he cut it away. Like, no, that didn't happen. But that was an excellent moment. Like, now, Kid's performance on the rooftop, we gonna save But the rooftop was excellent. Killer showed out, Law showed out, Zoro showed out, Kid did something. And Big Mom and Kaido were great too. Big Mom's Indra. I mean, yo, Big Mom was kind of frying up there. So, you know, that was great. A more character-driven moment that I really liked was Yasue. And it's also going to be one of my gripes, because I think Yasue was one of the characters early on in Wano that really pulled me in, just because his story was beautiful. Like, the fact that he forcibly ate the smile to relate to Toko, his daughter. The fact that he lived in Okobore town and ate the smile to, you know, like, feel what they're going through. He was kind of the poster child for the evil of the smile and Orochi's evil, and he kind of led you into the story. He was like the first emotional catalyst for Wano, where you're like, man, I'm feeling his story. Then he dies, and then he gives the speech, and Zoro's frustrated, and Zoro spent so much time with him. He was Toniyasu at the time. Zoro was attached. Like, the storyline between Zoro and Toniyasu was awesome, to the point where Zoro was like, yo, I gotta kill Orochi for you. Yeah, like, even Luffy was looking at the screen, and Yasue was just such a good character. He was good in Wano, part 1. He made Wano Act 1 so good. Yasue was excellent. We had so many reasons to avenge Orochi because of Yasue alone. We understood the magnitude of what was going on in Wano because Yasue really honed it in, man. And that death scene, you know, real nigga tears, bro. Real, well, I wasn't supposed to say that, but hey, we're here now. But yeah, the Roger and Whitebeard flashback. I mean, in Odin's flashback, right? Come on, right? Do we even need to go into depth about that? Like Roger, Whitebeard, Conqueror's Hockey, their prime, Odin, Whitebeard, a divine departure. We get named attacks for Roger. We're getting lore, the two sovereign prophecies. We're getting callbacks of young Frankie and Tom, and we're going to Fishman Island and the Joy Boys. And then, oh my, Roger, he laughed. I mean, guys, these are moments that as One Piece fans, you're sitting down, I'm like, oh, like I'm feeling it, Oda. It's like that Vince Carter meme. I'm like, yes, Oda, yes, this is great, right? So you can tell, like in Wano, there was things I'm enjoying. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Then we have outside of Wano itself, and we still consider this, but outside of Wano, Blackbeard, Sabo, what happened with the revolutionaries, the storming of Mary Joa, all of that stuff had happened. So that was the cool stuff as well. Sanji's Germa DNA and his Ifrit Jambe was good as well. Like his whole abandoning the burden of his past and destroying the raid suit and moving forward. It was a controversial decision, but I think it was good to see introspection from Sanji and to see him make a choice to take back his life and to own up to things, and he ended up getting some of the powers anyway, and then he got his own upgrade, Ifrit Jambe, which was fantastic. We got an Arlong Park combo. So the Sanji stuff was cool. There was a little bit of Mickey in there, but for the most part, if I'm talking about what I liked it. Momonosuke. I liked Child Momonosuke. I liked Momo. I thought Momo was a good character. I thought he was a good protagonist for the arc. I liked the moments where he stepped up, especially when he was on the cross in front of Kaido, and Kaido's like, yo, denounce Odin, and he just owned up to it, and he really stood up. He stood on business. You got an 8-year-old kid, man, about to get crucified, and he's just like, you know what, man, I'm my father's son. Ain't nobody gonna check me. Like, I'm here. I'll die if I have to. Real, and then, I mean, the speech in Udon for Momo as well. You know, the little man was a grown man. Like, he really stood, he really represented his family well, despite his young age, and allowed people to place their hopes on him, and he had a lot on his shoulders. And I think for an 8-year-old, he just performed very, very well and had a lot of class. So Child Momo, I liked him, right? Gear 5, obviously, I like Gear 5. The only issue I have with Gear 5 was that after a while, it just got a little too zany, and it got the tone of the fight and the seriousness of the fight was affected by the zaniness. But overall, I did like Gear 5. I like the powers. I like what it does. I like how Luffy, I like what it represents. Like overall, Gear 5 was nice. I liked it. I don't like it as much as other people do, but I like it. Like I like that. I don't really got much issues with that. Another thing, Kaido versus Luffy, Act 1. I mean, Luffy getting humbled and one shot. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Kaido was out here cooking, boy. I was like, Kaido, yeah, lock in. That was great, right? And you know, we just, man, I don't know. I just got like a quick wave of depression just thinking about how much I enjoyed Act 1. And as we go from Act 1 to Act 2, yeah, man. Anywho, let's keep going. Luffy's speech in Udon was excellent, right? Great speech in Udon with the poison in his veins and all that. So I was like, bro, all right, Luffy, you know, you're giving real Nelson Mandela vibes. Like we're locked in for this one. Shutenmaru, specifically when he was Shutenmaru, Ashura Doji, remember when he first came in as well? You know, 20 years he's been suffering the nonsense of Orochi and Kaido. 20 years he waited for the 9 Scabbards to come back, him holding that grudge, the Sanachi flashback, like Shutenmaru, Ashura Doji, I liked him. I liked his introduction. I liked his anger towards the Scabbards. I liked his story. So Shutenmaru, I specifically say Shutenmaru because after that, they kind of just, I mean, they killed my man, but they just let him explode. My man just explode. He died from dynamite. Like he's a Looney Tunes character. Like, how you gonna let Ashura Doji go out like that? The guy that was boxing with Odin, the one that was supposed to be one of the strongest Scabbards, and he got it. It's not the Crashout part. Let me slow down. I'm talking about what I like here. I'm talking about what I like, yeah. Kinemon before the death, fake out. Kinemon was good. I liked Kinemon overall. I never really had any issues with Kinemon at all. I liked him in the flashback. I like his story. I liked him pre-Wano as well. I think Kinemon was good. I think he was good. That fake out death was, I'll get to that again. I mentioned Okabore Town and the smile infections. That all is grouped up with Yasue as well. Again, that scene with the woman holding that knife to the baby because they can't eat anything and they can't express their emotions because they're laughing. So it's just a really sick thing for that people to go through. So Okabore Town and the smile Smile, very, very good devices to let you know what was going on in Wano, right? So this, again, this is a lot of Act 1 stuff and some other stuff littered around, but that's some of the stuff I enjoyed. And then we have the neutrals, you know, Tama, we like Tama. Tama's cool. I'm Team Toko, so it is what it is. You're gonna have to hold that. Tama was cool. The Ace stuff, the Ace reveal stuff, the plotline with Ace, that was cool. I enjoyed that. King and Queen were cool as well. I think my frustration with King is the swordsman thing, but we'll get to that. We're gonna talk about that more. And in Queen, I mean, he's kind of Sigma, like really Sigma, like Sigma incel, you know, borderline on that. Hey, but like Brago said, man, you know, the nigga can dance. He's funny. He cracks jokes. So we like Queen. He's all right, bro. So overall, yeah, Act 1. Act 1 was really my favorite part of Wano was Act 1. I think it set up the arc very well. It's just then after that, things just started going downhill. And overall, I know this is gonna be frustrating for some of y'all, but I personally think Wano was a bad arc. In my opinion, I think Wano was a bad arc, but there were a lot of things I liked about it. But now it's time for us to get to the things that got me. We have now reached the portion of the video where the crash out will be commencing. So if you're here just to see me crash out, now's the time you're gonna enjoy it. But before we get into that, there's a scale that we're gonna be using here. There's gonna be the minor criticisms that I have. There's gonna be the moderate issues I have. There's going to be the major dislikes, and then there's going to be the crash out inducing dislikes. And we're just going to progressively get there. That's how it's going to work. That's how I'm going to be categorizing my problems with the arc. So it really is just a nice crescendo. So first and foremost, with minor criticisms, Zoro. Zoro was supposed to lead the samurai. Zoro as a swordsman and being in a land that created swords. I just feel like a vested interest in the culture of Wano, the swordsmanship, the swords crafters. Even asking about it, Zoro didn't really seem interested in it, which was surprising to me. Now, again, Wano was under subjugation and a lot of the samurai had been killed. So like, I get it. And that's a caveat. That's why I call this a minor criticism. But I am a bit frustrated that Zoro didn't get more this arc, because an arc and an island and a nation that is founded on the way of the samurai and is honing their swordsmanship skills. And it's a land of swordsmen. Like, you would think someone who wants to be the world's greatest swordsman would have a bigger, more vested interest, or at least a continued interest throughout the arc. And we got the flashback, which was good, but it was mainly people noticing things about Zoro rather than Zoro showing any real interest himself. I mean, he gave back Shusui, and that's fine, that's fair, and he got Enma, and the Enma stuff was ridiculous with the community, you know, debating whether it's a power-up or not. People saying it's not a power-up, it clearly was. I think we can all settle that debate, but I just wanted more. I wanted more from Zoro. I wanted more from him personally, and again, minor criticism because it's not the end of the day, and the arc really isn't really about him. So there's that. Again, another minor criticism, Gear 5, the tone during the fight. The fight was good. The fight was good. I enjoyed it. Especially when it first happened and he's like bouncing Kaido around and Kaido's scared and there's the Looney Tune reactions. Like, it was funny. I laughed, haha. But I think after 2, 3, 4 chapters, I was just like, okay, so the tone of this fight is getting a little wacky, and it's not as I would expect this to be, considering Oda Mikishima's about to fall in the Flower Capital and Kaido's evil and all that other stuff. So again, minor criticism, but you know, there's that. Adult Momonosuke, I see why it was done, but I don't like it. I think a lot of his character and a lot of his charm came from the fact that he was 8 years old, and the appearance of this small diminutive child against this freak of nature Kaido and this political disaster class that Orochi had created in his country, and all of that being all of him having to bear that weight on his shoulders, all of that on his shoulders, and him challenging everything that went on there was so brave and so noble, and it really fed his character well. And I think the moment he grew and his appearance changed, it kind of took away that luster. Again, minor gripe, but that's kind of one of the small things I'm like, I don't know about that one. Odin's character, I know some people can say they like Odin. I didn't really like Odin that much. I just found Odin to be really shallow. I just found a lot of his decisions to be selfish, shallow. He got rewarded really for being a dickhead a lot of the times. Now he grew up and he became a better person. Obviously he married Toki, he had the kids, and they had him twerking for 5 years on Orochi's lie, and like all these things had meaning. But Odin, again, he had great moments. I think the Hour of Legends was excellent. I thought it was very, the pain of the scabbards watching Odin boil as he's holding them up was excellent. So Odin himself wasn't bad. I think Odin had a lot of great moments, but at the end of the day, he took a back seat in his own flashback because of Roger and Whitebeard, and I never really got invested in him. It's like I never really understood Odin, and maybe that's my fault. This is why it's more about me, but again, Odin for me, as I'm watching him, as I'm studying him, as I'm looking through these chapters, I'm like, he's not moving me. He's not moving me as an individual. His actions are moving me. What he's doing is moving me because it's like, it's almost as if, yeah, you're supposed to like this guy. Like, look what he's done. Look how he sacrificed. But then Odin the person, the deep introspection with Odin, I never felt a connection with him emotionally. Like, I never felt any connections with Odin emotionally. It just didn't do it for me. He just didn't do it for me. He just wasn't it. Like, that's it. And I think it serves a purpose that now that we're out of Wano, no one talks about him anymore. Nobody mentions Odin anymore. We still mention all kinds of other characters in the story, but the moment Wano's over, niggas not remembering Odin anymore. So I'm just like, yo, like, it's just we got caught up in the Flash and we didn't look at Odin for really who he was. The Odin flashback was a mixed bag, but majority of it was good, again, because of Roger and Whitebeard. And then another minor criticism, the Big Mom Pirates. Like, why were they even here? Like, Pero Sparrow was the only one that even kind of came out here and he got folded. And then they came here to kind of serve as a threat to us. Like, oh my God, the Big Mom Pirates are here. Smoothie might actually fight. We got Mount Dor. They've got Pero Sparrow. And they kind of just fall off a waterfall and never show up and then leave Big Mom here. And that's it. They never showed up. So it was like, why were they even here? Why were the Big Mom Pirates even here? I don't know. On to moderate issues. Mothering mode. It's things like this where I'm like, this is so Mickey Mouse. Like, this is Ulti in page 1. There are threats. Usopp and Nami are running away, Tama's hurt, and Oda creates mothering mode on the spot to justify her basically off-screening page 1, even though it was on screen. The way he got destroyed, it might as well have been off screen. We never saw him again. He got hit with a Conqueror's Haki punch. We never saw him again, and then Ulti got washed. And that was it. Threat averted. Nami finishes her off later on, completely gone. That was so Mickey Mouse. That was like, oh, by the way, Big Mom has this trait about her as well. Even though you could have shown that in Whole Cake Island. I didn't see that anywhere. It just came out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, all right. Again, moderate, not the end of the world. This is why I'm putting these in categories, because there's small gripes and there's the irreparable damage that comes in. Jinbei showing up to Wano and all of the fishermen being fine. No consequences whatsoever. It was a noble sacrifice. Big Mom is rushing back, angry as ever. And you think Jinbei either paid a price, how did they get away? What happened to the fisherman who died? You're expecting when someone goes into a Yonko's territory and does what they did, for them to stay behind to let the Straw Hats escape. You know what? Let me make a comparison. How Luffy escaped Impel Down, right? Luffy escaping Impel Down, Bon Clay staying behind, and Bon Clay eventually taking the damage. I don't know if Bon Clay's dead. I don't know if that was confirmed. We have to check. But the sacrifice of Bon Clay and Luffy's emotions towards Bon Clay's sacrifice was incredible. Like, that was good. That was a payoff. That was like, okay, you're not leaving unscathed. And it just felt like Jinbei coming back, no damage, no life force taken away. The fishermen pirates are all fine based on the cover story. I'm like, come on, man. Jinbei's introduction was supposed to be a happy but also sad thing, and it wasn't. And it's like, hey, you know, I'm back, guys. Yeah, we're lit. Didn't like it. I did not like it. Sanji and Black Maria. Oh boy. I have had so many people trying to convince me that this was a great positive thing for Sanji because he called for help, and it is a callback to him not calling for help in Whole Cake Island because Sanji likes to do things on his own. I understand that. I personally didn't see it that way. My frustration specifically at the time was just how Oda was using Sanji as a punching bag constantly, nonstop, and throwing him into a Khalifa 2.0 situation. It's just it's unbecoming of Sanji. It's not how his character has always been written. Sanji is he's the most intelligent person on the crew. You would argue Sanji is the most intelligent person on the crew, and Oda just made him look like a fool for the sake of Robin getting a good moment. And mind you, I can see the other side of it, but as a Sanji fan and as an avid Sanji fan, what I saw was Sanji going through this Khalifa nonsense all over again, getting beaten to a pulp because he's not gonna hit her. There's no reason he should hit her. So Sanji's only just gonna get folded like a lawn chair, only for him to cry out for Robin to pull up and save him. And I'm like, okay, great moment for Robin, but why at Sanji's expense? I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because of how Sanji had been portrayed all the way up to this point, and then Ifrit Janbei kind of made me forget about it. And that's why I never talked about it again. But another thing, moderate issue, not the biggest deal. Another one, the Toby Roppo. They were ass. The Toby Roppo were bad. All right. Drake was bad too. Drake really didn't do nothing. Drake was trash. Oh my God, that Triceratops, what is his name? Sasaki. Oh, garbage. Utter trash. I mean, oh my God. Everything about him was bad. I just, least memorable person in the entire arc. His fighting was disgusting. The little spin helicopter thing. I'm glad Frankie folded him, honestly. Shout out to Frankie. No shade on Frankie. Sasuke was terrible. Who's who? I mean, the racismo was wild. We had, you know, there was the lore dump and the Nika, plot device. Racismo with Jinbei, and then Jinbei folds him like a lawn chair. Who's who really wasn't anything else besides a racist Lucci wannabe who got folded. I'm like, all right. So no investment in that character either. Alti was the only one that we like. We like Alti. Fair. Page 1. Is there anything good to say about Page 1? He got nice hair. He got folded like a deck of cards by Raid Suit Sanji, then gets folded like a deck of cards by Big Mom because of mothering mode. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh, the Flying Six. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm missing one. Who am I missing from? We got Who's Who. Trash. Sasuke, trash. Page 1, trash. Drake, trash. Alti, we like Alti. Who's the 6th? Oh, Black Maria. I mean, she was cute. She was sadistic. Was Black Maria any good outside of the fact that niggas was thirsty for her? And she beat on Sanji a little bit? If anything, she just served as an hors d'oeuvre for Robin to get her moment. Black Maria wasn't that good either, to be honest with you. So yeah, the Toby Roppo, who are supposed to be important villains in the arc, they didn't ring true. They didn't ring true. They weren't that good. I'm not gonna lie. Now on to major dislikes. One of the things that frustrates me the most was the plot line between Zoro and Toneyasu, and Zoro having the main motivation of that arc to get revenge for Yasue. Oda frustrated me because I really bought into Zoro and Yasue's connection, Zoro's motivation, and even if Zoro wasn't gonna be the one to kill Orochi, he never saw Orochi, but he had beef with him. He had personal beef with him. And Oda is good at having those moments and at least giving you an inkling that they're still there, or an action that Zoro would take where he still held on to that. But it seems like Zoro just forgot about Yasue completely. Like, completely forgot about Yasue. And it makes me sad because Yasue's sacrifice in Act 1 goes by the wayside because Zoro was supposed to carry on that frustration and anger on, because you have little Toko, you know, in the flower capital, sweetheart. God bless her soul. She's wishing, you know, that her daddy can see this and all this other stuff like that. And I just really, really wanted Zoro to latch onto that, but instead he got attached to Hiyori's plotline, eventually kind of went off on his own, and he was supposed to lead the samurai. Dude didn't lead the samurai. He said he wanted to kill Kaido. That was his whole arc. I'm not even gonna get into that one. ZKK was, oh my god. Oh, pain and suffering. Dealing with ZKK was one of the worst experiences of my life. But I just wanted more from Zoro. Overall, I just wanted more character stuff from Zoro. We didn't get much character stuff from Zoro in an arc that really should have been a character moment for him. We got the flashback and the King of Hell stuff, which was cool. That was good, but in terms of the character, we didn't get much from Zoro, and that was so frustrating because it started off with Zoro. It started off with the seppuku blade. It started off with that culture. So it's like, okay, Zoro's about to have some interesting, deep moments, and we just didn't get it. And the biggest moment that he had was with Yasue. So he didn't take a vested interest in the swordsmanship. He didn't lead the samurai, and he didn't check in with Yasue. And I'm like, oh, then you don't do stuff like that, man. So it was like, okay, I'm just whatever, bro. I'm like, whatever. Then amnesia. The amnesia in Oshiruko was insanity. I think we can all agree. That was bad. Like, Big Mom's amnesia was so bad. Big Mom turned into the biggest plot device and wasted plot device I've ever seen. Big Mom's amnesia was solely for the purpose of getting them out of Udon and nothing else. The Oshiruko Chopper leading her in there was crazy. I just like, what is this? I was like, wow. We don't need to delve into that more. The Big Mom amnesia was bad. I'm just not with it. That was terrible. Apoo was a waste of time. Apoo betrayed Kid. Kid was supposed to have beef with Apoo. He did. He smashes him against the wall once, and then Apoo just escapes. Runs off willy-nilly, is trying to use the numbers to fight in the battle. The numbers end up not doing anything or just getting washed, and Apoo's is like, you know what, Drake? We should just get out of here instead. And he just disappears. And Apoo serves nothing in the story outside of holding the antidote to the Ice Oni virus and then getting washed by Zoro. And that's it. Apoo didn't do anything else. Apoo was a waste of time. Hawkins. Oh my god, nigga. Oh my god, Hawkins Comedy Central. Hawkins was Comedy Central. I have never seen someone behold so badly. He catches Law talking Cash Money. He traded sides. Law off-screens him and dismantles him. Bro holds out a card saying somebody's got 1%. There's a 1% chance that somebody's gonna survive this arc. 1%. We're thinking, oh, it's gonna be Luffy, or is it Zoro, Kinemon, Momo? Who is it gonna be? And by the end of the arc, Hawkins is on his last legs after getting washed by Killer, and he looks at his card and he's like, the 1% chance of survival was me. And I'm just like, yo, I said, you can't be serious. This is Looney Tunes. Hawkins is dead. I want y'all to deep that for a second. Hawkins is dead. What did he do? What did Hawkins do, bro? What was Blood even doing? Hawkins accomplished nothing. The entire arc and served as comedic relief when he was supposed to be taken seriously. Hawkins was a disgrace. That was crazy. So we got 3 supernova in the arc, Drake, Hawkins, and Apu, that were all virtually useless. They did nothing. They were a disgrace from the beginning to the end. 3 supernova gone. Capone and Oakegg was frying. We all love Capone. Bonnie, great and Egghead. Oh, but Drake, Hawkins, Apu, because they were in Wano, disgrace. Absolutely disgraceful. One thing I also didn't like is how the arc wasted your time with a lot of small things that we didn't need. Like Onimaru and Yukimaru. It was a nice story. It served no purpose to the arc. It was wasted time. Wasted time that could have been used to flesh out more things that Oda had already written in Wano. But because Oda had so many things he wanted to put in the arc, he realized he didn't have enough time. So all of the stuff that he had wasted previously now just ring hollow. Like Toki. What? Like, are we ever gonna find out what she did in the 4th century? Is she ever gonna talk about it? The prophecy, the arrows, who healed the scabbards when they came? Was it Toki or not? Who was it? I think it was Hiyori, I think. Toki, she didn't serve any purpose besides to have Momonosuke. Outside of that, she didn't do nothing. Y'all can't tell me you like Toki because you don't remember her. But my man Odin crashed out to save her. The blueprints for Kaido's castle. I mean, Marco and his letter, and that's a whole other thing. There's a lot more people that took that Marco letter personally rather than I did. But again, just, yeah, unnecessary. Yamato. Oh, Jesus, here we go. All right, I'm gonna piss people off here. I dislike Yamato as a character. Yamato did unparalleled levels of damage to our community. Unparalleled. Because Oda, who's based in Eastern culture, and a large majority of his audience is in an Eastern culture, the way they receive the Yamato stuff compared to the way the West did, night and day. You can say Oda is in Japan, so he wouldn't understand the way the West would take it, but the debate over Yamato's gender and the pronouns was one of the most toxic, vitriolic, worst experiences I've ever seen in this community. No matter what you said, you weren't right. No matter what people did, no matter what people said, no matter what stance people took, it was always wrong to somebody, and it was always a big crash out, week after week after week, just nonstop. You're transphobic. No, you're homophobic. No, you can't read. You have no reading comprehension. Oh, you're too woke. Oh, it was a plague. It was the bubonic plague of our community. It was unreal. I've never seen so many people crash out over something that ultimately never mattered to begin with. I personally believe it was a bad decision for Oda to not address Yamato identifying as Odin, but they're not rectifying it to a point where Yamato could be their own person. Why couldn't she be her own person? I don't understand why, and I understand it's trauma and Kaido and all that. Oda knows how to write these things well enough where you rectify it to a point where Yamato's like, I respect and I admire Odin, I want to live a life just like Odin, but I'm also Yamato, and I'm happy about being Yamato and Odin being my idol, or at least having some semblance of realizing that Yamato should identify as Yamato and not another human. That's imposter syndrome 101. That's not something to be glorified. And it was just so bad because the first thing she does when she pulls up on Momonosuke, a wounded and scared child, saying, hey, I'm your dead dad. Are you serious? That's trash. That's bad. I want you to put that in context. Your dad was murdered brutally in front of the entire nation. You are trying to be killed because of your dad's name. And the first thing you do, you see this deranged large woman with large breasts in a club with horns saying, hey, I'm Odin Momonosuke, I'm gonna save you. Call the police. Call the police. That's the first instinct. I didn't like that. Tone deaf. Not a fan. Yamato had good moments, action scenes, great. The character, waste of time. Worst thing in Wano. The Yamato experience was hell. Every time Yamato was on screen, I was crashing out. It was hell. Didn't like it. If you guys don't like it, that's fine. If you guys like it, that's fine. But I promise you're never gonna change my opinion on this. We did not need Yamato at all. We didn't need. And then Yamato never joined to begin with. That was the whole thing. Oh, Yamato's about to be a straw hat. About to be a straw hat. About to be a straw hat. Oh, psych. Never mind. I'm staying. All that debate for nothing. And then we could still come back to it. It still won't make it better. I had to get that off my chest. That was, oh my Lord. Kaido's character. I love Kaido. I loved Kaido. Oda showed us time and time again that there was something deeper to his character. We never really understood why he wanted to kill himself. We never really understood why he wanted to be Joy Boy. We never understood that deeper yearning for power and dominance that he had, that Oda had been sprinkling in. All the talks about honor, all the talks about samurai, all the respect for Odin, all of the respect for Roger and Shanks and all these other guys. This noble warrior spirit that Kaido has, that you can see because he grew up as a warrior, so obviously that's in him. But like, you never really knew what his personal philosophy was, right? His personal philosophy was virtually just might makes right. That's really what it ended up being. But Oda had been teasing deeper meanings in Kaido for a long time. The suicidal alcoholism, the emotional torment, all like what was it? Where was that coming from? What happened to him? And people say, oh, we're gonna get that flashback later. The time to do it was now. The time to do it was in Wano when he was a major antagonist, not in the Rock's flashback. The time to give his full backstory was in the arc where he was the most relevant. I don't see how the purpose of Kaido's character is served outside of the arc he's a major villain in. That doesn't make any sense to me. So when I got that slideshow backstory after all of the, this backstory, I'm about to figure out why Kaido is the way he is. Oh, Oda, I've seen you write backstories before. And sometimes characters don't even need a backstory. Arlong didn't need one, Crocodile didn't need one. So that's fine. But you look at Doflamingo, you look at Dolphin, you're like, all right, Katakuri, okay, Big Mom. You're like, well, okay, all right, I felt that one. I understand Big Mom. Kaido, we get that slideshow Mickey Mouse backstory. I'm small nigga, then I'm medium nigga, then I'm big nigga. That's it. I want to dominate the world. That's it. That's all we got from someone who has shown us the best performance as a villain from a combat standpoint in the entire series. And that's all we get. My frustration is that if that was always going to be the case and he was always going to be who he was going to be, don't give him a backstory. Let him be like Crocodile, because he was good enough without it. He would have been excellent without it, but the backstory only was a detriment to his character. And it was really the final nail in the coffin for me, because out of all the characters in the entire arc, Kaido was the one that I was the most interested in. I've made videos on it, theorizing, like this could be it. Why? Once we get the backstory, this is going to solidify him as top one. Kaido was the one man in that arc where I'm like, I have been interested in Kaido from the start all the way to the end. I loved him. That was it. Once I got that flashback with Kaido, because we didn't get that, the Hour of Legends, where we were wondering how did Kaido get scarred. No one could ever scar Kaido but Odin. Why? That wasn't even explained. Some say it was Conqueror's Haki, or maybe Odin was just strong. And I'm like, so you mean Kaido never ran into another nigga strong as Odin? And all the years he sailed, he didn't get scarred by Roger, Shanks, Mihawk, nobody. But Odin just cuts him like, willy-nilly. No explanation why. I let that go, because I crashed out about that. I let it go. That was a whole conversation in the entire committee the entire time. And I let it go. I was like, all right. But to get the backstory that we got from him after Oda's buildup and setting the expectations and the flashback with King and the suicide and the sadness and the drunkenness and the volatility and, you know, the subtle hints of elite intelligence and self-awareness that Kaido had. Hell, my man was a liberal. He respected Yamato's pronouns. I'm like, what's up with this nigga? I'm just like, but yeah, my Apple Watch is tripping. I'm like, what's up with him? And it just didn't deliver. It just fell by the wayside. I'm like, man, no. Why? And then Kid. I've already made a whole video on why Kid is trash. So matter of fact, let's not even get to that. Just watch the video. If you want to know why I feel the way I feel about Houston's Kid, watch that video and you'll know exactly why, because that'll be a whole other soliloquy. And that was another thing as well. I promise you, if we talk about Kid, it's gonna be an hour-long video. Y'all gonna be here forever. All right, y'all ain't never gonna leave. I'm gonna let y'all go on that one. Kid, oh my God, no, just absolutely not. And then to end it all off, Wano itself. I told you at the beginning of this video that I'm a character guy. I get attached to characters and I follow their arc and I follow their story, and that's really how I absorb manga. And Oda has been a master at that for so long. And in this arc where Kaido was the character that I had honed in on, and Momonosuke is someone that I had kind of an interest in, Oda never pulled me in. You can see where a lot of I'm floating around trying to find a character to be like, yeah, this is the one, this is the guy I'm gonna follow, because in Egghead, it was Bonnie and Kuma. They had me from the beginning to the end. Vegapunk was a great tertiary character in that regard as well. So we had that. But with Wano the Nation, I did not like the Scabbards. I thought the Scabbards were shallow in terms of their development, and there's 9 of them, so there's not much you can do. But none of them really pulled me in outside of Ashura Doji, and then we saw what happened to him. Kinemon was cool. Only one I was like, all right, we like him. Kiku was cool. Izo, oh my God, a waste of time. What a waste of time. Izo was an absolute waste of time. Kawamatsu had 1 or 2 moments. He was cool. It is what it is. Kanjuro, oh my Lord. Oh my God, how many final performances, how many final acts. The Kanjuro reveal was good. But Kanjuro the character, oh my God, pain. pain and suffering dealing with Kanjuro. The scabbards overall were just mediocre. They were mediocre. Another waste of my time. The other samurai, we didn't get enough from the other samurai. Orochi was a good villain, but he faded away and petered out. And it was just his ending with Hiyori was just like, all right, whatever. Orochi, like I understood why Orochi was the way he was, but that's fine. The Oniwa Banshu, I mean the Fukuro-Kujo and Raizo fight. Oh my god, a waste of time. Oh my lord, that was terrible. That was a terrible experience for me. The mob bosses in Udon, again, they were there, but they didn't do much. Hyogoro, Gyukimaru, Onimaru, the Hiyori stuff, the Born to Burn stuff. Like I talked about this with Arthur at length. There's ways you can perceive that, but you will have to understand one of my biggest issues about Wano and the way it ended is what made me really distaste the arc, is that the whole reason this started is because the cycle that the Kazuki started, Orochi's people, Korazumi's, they deserve to die, right? The uncle, the one who plotted it, plotted the coup, deserved to die. Fair. Then the Kazuki spend their lives hunting down every family member of the Kazuki, tormenting them, torturing them, and killing them. Orochi grew up watching and being hunted his entire life by the culture of the country. That was a cultural thing. The culture made Orochi who he was. That's why he wanted to destroy the nation, because the culture betrayed him and spit in his face, and he said F the nation. So he does everything in his power to basically annihilate the nation, destroy the culture, change everything. He gets taken out, and what are we doing? We're having poetry class about how Orochi was meant to burn. He was born to burn. Korazumi was born to burn. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yes, Hiyori, you suffered greatly at the hands of Orochi. That's fair. You get your shit off, queen, that's fine. But then I'm like, but what is the message? What's the message we're getting here? What is the resolution of what happened here? Because in Dressrosa, the Shichibukai system needs to go. Same thing with Alabasta. We got a message leaving there. What's the message we got in Wano? How do we avoid this happening again? Because saying the Korazumi were born to burn is not solving the problem that we had. It wasn't even addressed. We didn't even consider it. Then you find out Tama's low-key a Korazumi. Sukiyaki's one of the niggas that was responsible for it. We couldn't have a dialogue about that. We couldn't address that issue. To me, it didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with me. And as someone that really likes the resolutions that Oda comes up with at the end of arcs, he's brilliant at it. He's brilliant. Again, these are things Oda has done time and time again. It's like Oda did so many things that I'm not used to him doing in one long, large, painful arc, where it's like I'm sitting 2-3 years and watching Oda break my heart over and over again in Wano. I'm like, yo, what's happening here? It was shocking to me. It was shocking. So to wrap up this portion where I'm talking about what I don't like, and I basically just crashed out for 30 minutes, is that Oda's never made me feel like this in an arc before. A lot of the things that I mentioned are things that Oda did that eventually led to my time being wasted and waiting. Because a lot of these things I'm saying in a vacuum, but think about the time we had with all these thoughts like, Oda's gonna cash in on this, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that, how is he gonna end this, and how is he gonna do that? And it just seemed like everything that I had waited and expected was gone. So like I lost a level of trust that I couldn't experience anymore with Oda, and it was just shocking. It was really shocking. This leads to one of my final points, is that because of what I experienced in Wano, something changed in me. The way I read One Piece changed. It's almost as if I became much more of a casual reader, just because I wanted to still read the series that I've read for 15 plus years, and the series that I love and low-key built a career off of, right? Like Oda's work has done wonders for me personally. It's done wonders for me as a content creator. It's allowed me to express myself as a content creator. So One Piece is a very special place in my heart. But when it comes to the story itself, right? The idea of One Piece, the institution of One Piece, the community of it, I'm still in and I'm never gonna leave because it means too much to me. But I realized after Egghead, in an arc that I really liked Egghead. I really liked Kuma, Vegapunk, Bonnie, the backstories, the Garp, the Kuzan, Big Business, Kizaru's backstory. There was so much in Egghead to like, so much that even after that, when Elbaf is coming up, another arc that people have been anticipating, there was a level of disinterest. It was a level of disinterest I had towards Elbaf that really surprised. I'm like, why am I not as excited for Elbaf as everyone else is? Me as a content creator, normally I'd be like, what are my expectations of Elbaf? What am I looking for? What do I want to see? Something changed in me that I've really had a hard time explaining until now. And I think what happened is that what I experienced in Wano changed how I view the story just because I'm not expecting Oda to deliver all the time anymore. Instead, I'm taking what I'm getting. And before, I had a lot of expectations. I'm like, Oda's gonna do this, and I can't wait for Oda to make me feel this way and make me do this. And it's almost as if in Egghead, I was surprised Oda still had that in him. The Kuma backstory broke me down. You guys saw the shorts and the videos. Oda destroyed me. I'm like, oh, this Prime Oda, this Jordan 23 Oda. That was 45. That was 45 Jordan Oda in Wano, but this is Prime Oda all over again, and he could do it again in Elbaf. But for the time being, right now, the way I absorb the manga is a much more casual basis, which is why I'm doing less discussion videos. That's why I'm doing less theories. That's why when people ask me about the story, they ask me, hey, what did you think of last chapter? I'm not excited to talk about it because I'm a casual. I've become a casual content creator. So when it comes to deep introspective opinions, like I'll talk about some things that I find very fascinating and interesting. All you gotta do is check out my One Piece is Real series to know that I can still talk about the story at a very deep level. But that's all the past stuff. I can talk about past One Piece all day, easily, because there's a lot of great stuff in past One Piece that I can talk about. But for where I'm at now, it's different. It's why I'm making Agenda Piece content so much more, because I love Agenda Piece. I love what the community brings. If you notice in a lot of the Agenda Piece content that I make, it is my Discord, it is people in the chat, it's people on Twitter and their memes. It is the community that creates Agenda Piece. I just go with it, and then I create my own thing with it as well. The whole Vista memes, Big Business Barcelona was something I came up with, but us as a community, what happens is when I say these things, we come together and we make the story bigger. We expand on it. There's a whole Dadan cult in my server. Like, you can't tell me that's not hilarious, right? So it's a way where we can it's the way we can read One Piece in a way where it's purely comedic. Agenda Piece is purely for comedic and entertainment. It's not power scaling. It's not theories. That's not Agenda Piece. That's just agenda. Agenda Piece is completely different. It's really just satire. It's One Piece satire. And I love it and I enjoy it because I love One Piece and I love comedy and I love satire. You put those things together and it's like, I just get to be a goofy dude who loves One Piece, which is really, might be the best way to absorb the story. It might be. And overall, because of that, the community as a whole hasn't made it easy for me to make this video, just because when it comes to having criticism of the story and criticism of Wano, the community does not like it. The community, I would argue, cannot handle criticism well. They can't handle criticism of Oda. Even though Oda is top 5 mangaka of all time, maybe the best, I would say Togashi and maybe Toriyama and some others. But when it comes to giving my authentic opinion and my criticisms on the story, and a lot of content creators can vouch for this, there's a lot of things that we may not like, but we cannot say, because any criticism of One Piece, any criticism of Oda, whether valid or not, is met with vitriol. And you are alienated and you'll eventually be blackballed. That's normally how it works here. And I'm not here to play victim because I'm not a victim. I'm not. I'm actually very privileged. I'm in a privileged situation here to make this video and to have people care about what I say. That's a privilege because they can. And there's a lot of people that don't. So I realize that I'm in a place of privilege, but I just have to mention, as the community, we need to be better at having conversations about the things that we do not like and accepting two things can be true. We can accept that, in my opinion, Wano wasn't a good art, but One Piece is still a great story. And Oda is still a great mangaka, and he's still going to make great stories. Like, that's just, that two things can be true. And all I want for the community is just to get to the point where we can just own the two things can be true mentality, instead of saying, because you don't like it, you don't understand the story, which means you have no idea what you're talking about. So me going forward, I love One Piece. I'm not dropping the series. Don't tell me to drop the series because I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep making content on One Piece about things that I care about. That's the difference here. When I care about something and when I want to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. But now there's going to be occasions where I talk about something else. I might talk about another series from time to time. I might keep doing Agenda Piece content. I might stop doing Agenda Piece content. Who knows how long the Agenda Piece gimmick is really gonna last? It's a gimmick, but we like it. We're enjoying it. It's entertainment, but you know, phases and fads, they fall away. Before, One Piece used to be a massive streaming community. People barely stream now. We used to have content creators joining other people's streams all the time, but it's changed. So going forward, just expect more authenticity from me, in a sense where I'm not gonna hide it from you guys out of fear of backlash. What I want you guys to understand from this day moving forward and on this channel, you will going to get authentic content from me, as if you haven't been already. You have, but I'm talking about, I'm not going to pull my punches anymore. I'm not going to risk, I'm not going to allow the risk of losing subscribers and backlash and vitriol and bad DMs and all kinds of other things. I'm not going to allow that to soil my integrity as a content creator. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to do what I want to do, but I'm not dropping One Piece. I'm going to keep at it. I'm not going anywhere. But I wanted you guys to watch this video. I wanted you guys to see why I feel this way about Wano so we can never talk about it again. Because if you really stayed to the end of this video, I'm sure you're like, KJ, let's never talk about Wano again. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let's not. And if someone asks me about Wano, I'll point them to this video and we'll move on from there. But thank you guys so much for those who have understood, and for those that don't understand, it is what it is. At least you watched the video. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. It has been a journey being a One Piece content creator, and I'm going to be one till the story ends. So let's see where Oda takes us. And who knows? Maybe Oda can change my mind. Maybe he can bring me back, but we'll have to see. So until then.